Oh yeah? Well, screw you guys. I'm going home.
Today, I'm going to be talking about my book, Ratiocination. Okay? I don't want to give you guys the whole thing. I don't want to summarize it too much in depth because it's not really a long book. It's only like 39 pages. I'm going to try to summarize the best I can and to clear up some misconceptions. Okay? So, first things first, ratiocination is the state of reasoning. Okay? Reasoning with somebody. That's what I used it for. This, because reasoning was kind of like the backbone of the book. Would people with higher status than you listen to reasoning because of their status? That was kind of one of the things I tried to touch on with that. That's why I use ratiocination. The grammar is like basically. I'm gonna give you guys some context first. The reason why I was writing this book in high school, okay? I didn't care about much about grammar, formatting, or anything. I didn't care about much. Like I was just living. I was just writing things down. This is like this book right here is like a journal. That's what it kind of was. I was just writing things down. I didn't care about periods, commas, nothing. It wasn't no like essay. Maybe I was I guess you could see it as I was trying to get away from doing all those essays. I didn't really care about grammar, formatting, or anything of that nature. So I kind of just wrote things down. And yes, I proofread everything about my book. And I still chose to keep it like that. Because that's how I wanted to express my opinions on it. And that's how I wanted people to see it as. Like I kept the cover basic. I used trees because the tree of life. I didn't put much effort into the whole structure of the things because I didn't want it to lose the essence of what it really stood for. And what it really stood for was about a teenager trying to fulfill or trying to find himself and find what he wants to do in his life. But he had complications with his family because his family never really experienced that, but also egotistically kind of feel like they understand what he's going through. Like first chapter, I was talking about like the dismissal of teens. So things like personally, I feel like age is kind of used to like age is kind of like okay, if I'm this age, you can't talk like you can't don't do that. You don't talk to me back. Don't talk back to me. Don't do anything. Don't disagree with what I'm saying. Don't try to like don't give your opinions. Don't do that because I understand you don't. I've been through it all. And I was just trying to explain in the book that experience doesn't necessarily mean you have the knowledge, like all the knowledge, because there's people have different types of experiences, and age isn't really like you don't reach a certain age to just get a whole bunch of knowledge. What makes the knowledge, the steps you took to gain that knowledge mentally every single day as a person, not about the number or the age you were. Like every single year you didn't just keep, sometimes you can regress as age goes on. You can grow older and become worse, or you can grow older and become stronger each year. Depends on the person. It all comes down to the person. I don't necessarily like all the thoughts that I had in this book. I don't necessarily believe all of them, but I definitely believe probably most of them right now. But I don't believe all of them. I don't believe all of them. But yeah, so chapter 2, I was talking about the dad and how that I was just trying to give you some background on the dad situation based off, I don't know, just hypothetically speaking, based off what I've been like exposed to. So the dad was kind of like growing up in a household where he didn't really like he had a bad environment. He made it out, and he kind of felt like he knew what he was doing with everything. Like he got out, he made it big, and he knew what he's doing. Just why would you want to do something else? And he didn't really understand the dreaming part, like the dreaming big part, because he never got to live out his dreams, because his dreams were crushed by reality. Reality took him whole basically, but he still made it out. But he made best of what he could because of reality. So he didn't really understand someone. He didn't really understand someone that wanted to live out his dream. Like, bro, that's not. He's like, okay, that's not real. Like, there's no way. And I tried to make sure the mom was kind of as silent as possible, because like the dad was the one that's really like, the dad was the one that was the most disagreeing when it comes to the dreaming thing. The mom really understood the son more. So I tried to give more. That's why I talked more about the dad than I talked about the mom, because I feel like the mom understood more, and that's why in chapter 3 I touched on those points with the mom. My favorite quotation was just "Reality to perception," the chapter 3 title. I love that quote. I do, because it really is. Reality is what you see it as. The kid does not really have much logic, if you can see. He was more emotional than he was logical, which is kind of ironic since the whole thing is reasoning, logic. But he wasn't really logical. If you could tell, he was pretty much emotional. He had a lot of emotional thoughts. And that's how I felt, me, personally. It was more emotional back then. It wasn't necessarily, I wasn't really looking, I was just kind of like, I was just trying to find things out as a teenager. And I feel like that's what all teenagers go through. We're all trying to look for something to just to explain something. Because sometimes you're just lost. You have this void in your heart that you're just trying to fill. And that's what it felt like. And he was just trying to give his opinions. But the parents obviously were not trying to hear that, because they said, we have the experience, so we should understand more about how you should move your life. Which could make sense if they had experience on what he was trying to do. But he was trying to be an entertainer. So it didn't really make sense to give their kind of opinions that they were giving. Because the son didn't want to do something that was near what they were talking about at all. But you obviously, parents, you need to guide your kids. You should try your best. But I feel like you should try to give your kids a voice. A voice where they can express themselves. Because without expression of opinions, you just got one fucked up dude. Like, completely fucked up. So, it was more an emotional teen trying to get his parents to understand where he was coming from about what he wanted to do for his life. And it also touched on parents not really understanding the child's perspective, because they're parents. Why listen to someone who hasn't gone through much, all the adversity, all the things that we've gone through? Why listen to them? Like, why? And that's a question that's necessary, that's very, very ambiguous, and it's highly controversial. Why listen to the younger people? They're younger. We've been through it all. A lot of people have their opinions. The young people say, well, times have changed. Things change. We're in a technological world now. You were back in the Stone Age. Like, it's different now. It's completely different. But there's a lot of opinions on it. And the older people would say, well, life is still life. You still have the groundwork. You still have to put in the work. You still have to do all these things. Like, human nature does not change. Okay? Human nature stays the same throughout life. I'm just giving you my opinions on what I think both sides would be. And yeah, that's just basically it. I just try my best to give my opinions on both sides based off my experience. This book is it can be taken both a lot of ways. But once again, this wasn't a book where I really took my time to like try to fix, because I wanted to keep it this way specifically for the meanings behind it. I wanted raw, uncut, complete journalism about what it felt like to be a teenager. Well, I'm still a teenager, but what it felt like to be a teen at that time, and how it was growing up in a household with strong backgrounds who feel like they have things figured out, or that they could help somebody who is younger. And it doesn't necessarily mean that the family is wrong or that the family doesn't understand, but just that sometimes the family could just be helping. Other times you have the parent. Yeah, obviously sometimes you have the parents who are narcissistic. Obviously you have those people, but that's not always the case. You could check out my book in the description. That I am in the works of making another book. Yes. But I'm not gonna give you nothing about that. So if you like the book, definitely rate it on Goodreads, Amazon. Just rate it if you want to. Just check it out. I have an ebook version. Want to check that out? And yeah.
Go. Get that bag, get check. Labels call on my phone, I won't sign with them. Tryna shove out like nigga the grind different. If I can't go to sleep, no my mind missing. Having thoughts I can't think of, my mind drifting. And I just need a mansion coming out.